Merck, they're the ones who came out with this drug in 2007. And by 2008, they decided to market it this way. We'll take a look at the original ads pushing it.
I chose to get vaccinated because I'll do everything I can to help protect myself from cervical cancer.
I chose to get vaccinated when my doctor told me HPV can affect women my age and how Gardasil can help protect me.
Gardasil is the only cervical cancer vaccine that helps protect against 4 types of HPV.
2 types that cause 70% of cervical cancer and 2 more types that cause other HPV diseases.
I chose to get vaccinated after my doctor told me cervical cancer isn't the only HPV disease Gardasil helps prevent.
I chose to get vaccinated because my dreams don't include cervical cancer.
Gardasil.
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 You have the power to choose.
It's very effective. Who? Choose no to cancer. Okay. Yes, I agree. I also would like to choose to say no to cancer. Well, then it became more controversial. This one in particular got a little sticky in terms of parental blogging and, just the internet being what it is. And now they've changed their approach. Here's a more recent pitch by Gardasil, and it's the only vaccine that's out there. There was another one for a while, but now this is it. If you want to get the HPV vaccine, it's Gardasil by Merck. 2016 found a different way of messaging. Here it is.
I have cervical cancer from an infection, human papillomavirus. Who knew HPV could lead to certain cancers? Who knew my risk for HPV would increase as I got older? Who knew that there was something that could have helped protect me from HPV when I was 11 or 12, way before I would even be exposed to it?
Did you know, Mom? Dad?
Oh my God. I'm sorry, but that is too much. That's just too much. Kristen, I'll start with you on it as the pediatrician. That's absurd. That's trying to guilt you. You gave your kid cancer by not getting them this vaccine.
I do find the emotional blackmail of parents disturbing. And I think we're seeing it in other arenas now, like, not to go into a whole rabbit hole, but, some of the message parents of kids with gender issues are getting about it's either aggressive gender confirming therapy or you're choosing your child's suicide. I think that's horrible. And I am not for any of that. I mean, I guess, companies can market the way they wish, but I am always going to disapprove of emotional blackmail of parents. And honestly, it also reminds me of a lot of the ways that public health chose to communicate during COVID, right? It was less about sort of giving factual information and being honest about what's known and not known. And it was more about what can we say to make people behave a certain way? And that was their whole thing. And to me, when you talk about medicine, that's the paternalistic way of practicing medicine. It was very common in pediatrics when I started out. And I always said to myself, I am not going to practice this way. I'm just going to tell people the facts and the truth and invite them to make their own decision and, give my opinion where appropriate. But I am really not a fan of that heavy-handed, way of trying to make people do what you want them to do.
There's a question, Allie, about Merck and whether this drug was a savior because it had been involved in a bunch of litigation over, what was it? It was Vioxx?
Vioxx, yeah.
Yeah, Vioxx. And there was a suggestion that this drug may or may not stop HPV, but it definitely stopped the bleeding from the Vioxx litigation that Merck was facing. And that sort of desperation in that 2016 ad only makes me suspicious of them. It makes me say, you're pushing that hard to guilt parents. That sounds like a financial motivation more than, I don't know. That doesn't sound like altruism to me.
I don't know. I mean, full disclosure, I worked for Merck. I really appreciated the approach the company took to training. I worked for the Merck vaccine division. I sold to public sector, correctional facilities, military bases, health departments. I hold the company in high regard. So just letting you know that my bias is pro-vaccine here. If we get a chance, I'd love to talk about meningitis vaccine before college because that one is clearly a no-brainer for me. I do also agree with Dr. Walsh, though, that the emotional blackmail of parents and that one campaign in particular about who knew or did you know, Mom, was terrible. So I really think that we need to talk to parents about the facts and make sure that there's, truly informed consent. I think we ought to talk about the risks of disease. We ought to also be able to talk about the risks of vaccines because there are risks. Anytime you do a medical intervention, there are risks. And in particular for vaccines, you're introducing these to previously healthy people. So I think it is paramount that we be clear on what they are and that we really do good risk benefit analyses, which honestly, I'm very surprised to find coming at this now, for both COVID and now for HPV, taking a really hard look at it. I'm really surprised to find that the math is just not there. And, here I am in my kitchen doing the math. And that's not acceptable. Like, we actually really need to have a third party, non-biased, not FDA affiliated, open source, maybe, recruit citizens and do an open, access, best modeling effort. What is the real risk benefit analysis here? And bring our best minds to this.
Like many people, I am trying to eat healthier these days, and that's why I love good olive oil. When I've been making my salad dressings, I've been doing that. That's the one thing I'll do. I can cook that. I have found that the difference between the olive oil, like if you use an old one, an unfresh one, you can taste it big time. This matters. Good in the field of olive oil means fresh, okay? Olive oil packs the most flavor and healthiest nutrients when it's fresh from the farm. But that's the problem with the supermarket olive oils. They're not fresh. They can sit on that shelf for many, many months. You have no idea how long, growing stale. This is why I like my olive oil direct from small, award-winning farms, thanks to a guy named TJ Robinson, also known as the olive oil hunter. When I tasted TJ's farm fresh oils, I fell in love with their vibrant, grassy flavors. They're delicious on salad, veggies, pasta, meat, fish, you name it. As an introduction to his fresh pressed olive oil club, TJ's willing to send you a full-size $39 bottle of one of the world's finest artisanal olive oils for just $1 to help him cover shipping. Best of all, there's never a commitment to buy anything, and you can cancel your membership at any time. Get your free $39 bottle for just $1 in shipping and taste the difference freshness makes. Go to harvestfreshnow.com, harvestfreshnow.com for a free bottle and pay just $1 in shipping, harvestfreshnow.com. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.